Twisted D here again on the Twisted Divinity channel. Today we're going to be playing some Divinity Original Sin 2. We've already gone through and set everything up. Please remember, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more content as it comes out, become one of the Twisted, please hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell right next to it. So, you know what, let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to go with an origin character. It's a character that's organic to the game. His name is Fane. He's undead. So what it says here is you woke up and your world was gone. The last of your kind, you hide behind a charmed mask, searching for the truth about a history that no one knew existed. Alright, so talents. I'm undead. Let you heal from poisons, but regular healing causes damage. Ingenious. Gives you 2 bonus point, 2 bonus initiative, 5% extra critical chance. Inherent to the fact that I'm dead. I'm the undead. Or something like that. I get the ability to play dead. So fool enemies thinking I'm dead. Cooldown. The skill will be paused. Any actions you take will cancel the status. So I can sit playing dead for 3 turns. So combat in this is a turn-based combat. Whenever you get into combat, from what I can tell, I've watched a couple of videos, other YouTubers, just to kind of get an idea what the game is about. My good friend Dirty Houdini, Dirty H, gifted me this game, so hopefully here in the near future you'll see some co-op episodes come out. So yeah, anyway, continuing on, my build preset, I picked Inquisitor, so appearance presets, so here's my presets. Inquisitor, I got 1 in strength, 1 in intelligence, so strength determines base weapon skills, allows you to lift and carry heavier items. Intelligence determines intelligence-based damage, i.e. things that have to do with magic or sorcery or whatever it is. And then cost 1 in constitution determines my health pool. So for every 1 point, I get an additional 7%. My abilities, I got 1 warfare, so 1 in summoning, which allows me to summon this incarnate, and 1 in persuasion, because I got a feeling if the word persuasion is in there, I'm probably going to need it in the video. Probably might help, you know, when it comes to talking to people and trying to get my way. Skills, so skills, we've got bouncing shield. You can see, getting off, probably not that great. Dimensional bolt, shoot a volley bolt that deals 4 to 5 of a random type. So random type meaning like fire, electricity, or air, kind of elemental stuff. And then creates a corresponding surface. So if I shoot this dimensional bolt at someone and it hits them with fire, it will create fire. And then I've got Conjure an Incarnate. Basically, lets me create a little incarnate dude. Once you hit summoning ability level 10, Colossal Incarnate Channel. That's so summoning. Alright, so basically, say I use this and it gives me an electrified water surface. I summon the incarnate on that surface. He's an electrified water. My talents, Big Leech. So whenever I stand in blood, it heals me. These can't change because Fane is inherent to the game and the instrument. So from what I can tell, this instrument is gonna play. It's gonna be like the lead instrument when I get into fights and stuff like that. So I picked the cello. So what we'll do now is we'll listen to Fane's origin story, and then we'll get started. All right.
Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Our culture forgotten. Any trace of the world I knew all but obliterated. I must even hide my true face beneath an ever-shifting mask for fear you savages will attack me. That is how I wander this strange world. Trying to uncover the truth about a history you primitive people never even knew existed.
Alright. Well, let's get going. We're playing non-death poses unique risk, benefits, above list. Huh. Okay. Cool. I can pick lots of my finger. That's awesome. Yes.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So today's Urban Dictionary. Let's see, what are we gonna go? Oh, you know what? Today's Urban Dictionary is going to be called AC Slater. AC Slater is when you sit backwards on the shitter and take a disgusting
Well now, aren't you a curious sight?
dragon dump.
If I'd had a mask to hide my bones as well as yours, maybe I'd still be walking around today.
Like you're saying, take a disgusting diarrhea dragon dump. Sitting like AC Slater when he did on his chair in Saved by the Bell, because you know he sits backwards, so basically you sit there, you face the tank, you're straddling the toilet, you're taking a massive, disgusting, explosive diarrhea shit. So that's today's Urban Dictionary thing. Alright? If you want to see what the next ones are going to be, remember to hit that subscribe button so we can keep this thing going. Alright? And if you have suggestions for things that you might want me to look up in the Urban Dictionary, go ahead and leave them in the comment section, and I will check them out. Alright? So,
Where'd you get it?
okay.
There can't be many curios like that in the world. Is that a fact? And your voice? You ripped that from them too. I've never heard such silken tones from a naked skull. Ha! Should have known it was a parlour gimmick. Still, you'd best keep that mask on. The living don't take kindly to seeing their future staring back at them.
Okay. Oh, cool. Alright, so let's this Alright. Oh, phase path of the shapeshift. Oh, cool. Alright, cool. So I can shapeshift. That's legit. Lucian the Black Ring. Okay, so currently describes goes to Great Lakes and documents Genius of the Black Ring. As best he can in some Lucian. Lucian's adopted son, Damien, was resentful of his father and became Lord of Chaos, which sounds extreme, but according to Hubert, Damien may have had a good reason. There's much about Lucian's killing of Grina. Damien's love, Damien's banner attracted Cabal of outcasts, Damien's dark wizards, and various other tainted, tarnished individuals. Cabal became an army. Interesting. There's no meticulous notes of their traits and habits, or race. It details the foods they eat, clothes they wear, and speak patterns. Also includes used diagrams of their mating habits.
What a well of knowledge this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me.
Take that.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
Today, nailed down. Fine.
Ah, you're up. Yes, fair. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
Let's see. What should I go with? Ooh, here we go. We're gonna do this one. Say you have a long, black dream about a ship sailing the river of the dead.
No, you're alive, and you're having a conversation. You are on a ship, of course. But luckily for us both, we're merely sailing the plain old sea.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course.
Oh.
Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
You better stop before you hurt yourself. All will, but no result. There you have it, see? The collar's function. It neuters you, of sorts. Makes you unable to cast source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
Good gods,
A young Magister stands pale.
This is what I do. There. Rope that. A potato. Hooray, I always wanted a potato.
No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite avert. Ugly sight, isn't it?
Stop
Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwoken followed the source that did this.
bones.
Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of,
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform.
Gee, I wonder why. You slept. Weird collars on us. See, David, as far as I know, you did unmentionable things to me other than put a collar on.
Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that?
I'll throw in shine. Ooh, pretty. Gold one.
Thanks. I just want to catch whoever did this before they hurt anyone else.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, I guess I can help.
Sing us a song, I know you can.
It was one of them. I know it.
You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't Tackle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off.
Something has changed. You are you, but more. You are another, but not. You look to your hands, your belly, your feet. Flesh you don't know, molded into unfamiliar shapes. You cradle your aching head, where another's memories and wisdoms mix with your own. Your fingers trace a line from your head to your face, feeling not the creases of the mask, but the porous surface of new skin. You lower your arm, blink twice, and step forward in this new guise.
And then north of that. Are we gonna do it? Are you gonna... Oh, okay. I don't want you. That's better. Hey, look. I'm not a skeleton anymore.
Ah, there you are. Husband.
What?
Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flat.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope. Trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying
Rubbish. One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off
An
one by
elf
one.
sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers, watching, staring at them, hoping that none would stare back. You were thinking of flesh, or, to be rather more precise, the pleasures of the flesh, those that have eluded you for so long.
She pats you on the shoulder consolingly.
There, don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
It was one of them. I know it.
Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you? Mad. Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
I'm a dwarf.
You are chill, aren't you?
Stay away from the Magisters, brother.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never done.
He turns his head toward you, looking you up and down, and smiles before turning.
You look like a boy to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't.
The Magisters more concerned.
His eyes snap open. He looks at you and frowns.
Murder? Ah, that's what they were going on and on about. I wouldn't know anything about it. I kill a man. He knows who done it. His daddy knows who done it. And the mayor knows who done it too.
His eyes flutter shut, and he assumes his position of repose once more.
Whether they catch me is another matter, but I ain't one to hide my accomplishments. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
Jill, is that right? I've a few questions for you. You are Jill, aren't you?
Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close. There now, just like that.
Why won't you sing? That's enough.
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
Your Majesty, turnips and water.
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Pardon my beard. That means if we've been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
Don't you get saucy with me? You clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Come on, please, Losa.
Ah, so you've eyes as well as ears, eh? You'll go far, mate. Even here.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard.
Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the Joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and doesn't acknowledge you anymore.
Why won't you sing? Be good, you scallywags. You'll see what they're Jofferson.
Well, well, what have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
I'm inspecting your teeth, in case that wasn't spectacularly obvious. There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew that you were from the bed nest.
Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
Got this wolf on a leash now.
Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom. Well, that just about settles it. I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave.
Got this wolf on a leash now.
My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of this honor to sink in. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now, shoo! When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Until then, go stand in a discreet corner somewhere.
That right?
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
We'll hand you right over the side of this ship with it.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Good find. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen.
I'm busy watching for clues, Sauce.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy fan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You, dwarf, what's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make.
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Just take everything. If there is, I'll take it.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand you right over the side of this ship with him.
Follow it. I'm gonna take everything.
How dare you classify this slop?
Boring.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Recipes.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Keep with those
Never thought
bolts
you'd
trained
end up
on
a
her,
prison
and if she
guard,
tries to run, shoot to kill.
That right?
You seem on edge,
I
officer.
always knew you'd turn out
What on
rotten,
earth is the
Ben
matter?
Nest.
Murder most foul.
Your kind
I strongly
always hung
suspect
closest
you
to
know
our
all about it.
divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
Scratches. Rackets fill every page. The artist is highly talented, but clearly enthusiastic. Hang on, that one. Okay.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor...
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister, you faring okay so far? I'm glad to hear it. You head on in now.
Be good, you scallywags.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
You know, I'm not dead, so
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magisters more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
And if she tries to
Rubbish.
shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is
Never
the matter?
thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
Murder most foul. And I strongly suspect you know all about it.
Do you? Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
Okay. Oh, that's the chip.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking Magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
What's her name?
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella.
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
What do I want to do? What do I want
No, I'm afraid I always perform my part solo. Do stay and watch, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
She stole it. If these savages see me without it, they will have my skull for a goblet.
What happened? Water? Wine, for goodness sake! Oh.
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but only just. Ifan lies motionless. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register your presence at all.
Lucien. Lucien.
Ifan cries out, then his eyes fall closed again.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
Her hand lies limp in yours. She's too weak to stand.
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She doesn't stir. The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a... The Magister lies on the floor.
I think this is where we're going to end the guy. There he is. There's Thane. And alright. So. Whatever. Hey, I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you like what you see, by all means, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe.